We're good to go, right? Andy, we're great. Good afternoon, everyone. I've been part of the LSC for a number of years. This is the first time we're doing a forum. Actually, my first time being on the council and being part of the hiring process. Ms. Milberg was hired by the previous LSC before I was able to go. You say actually took the lead on that. So I really wish he was taking the lead now, but that falls on me. So my role in this, just to give you a little background, I personally, for me, the role on the LSC, I am not an educator. So I try to just mediate our meetings and try to make them efficient, try to make sure the group has enough information to make decisions. I normally don't express my own opinion. I do my best to get everyone to express theirs. It's a brilliant group of people. So it's been an honor actually to serve in that role and get find them to collaborate and come to a decision. This particular process, there were 13 resumes that we received. We brought it down to 3 after our first round of interviews. We narrowed it down to the final 2 candidates. I believe you know one of them. They're both back there, pretty nice and sweet. Katie Welsh and Heather Conley. We flipped a coin, as weird as that may sound. See, the thing is, there are so many rules to this process that it feels, I know for many of you, it feels like we've been very, for many of you, it feels like it's been very tight-lipped or difficult to get information. We're so limited on what we can say. We're limited in the process. In the interview process, we had to ask each candidate the exact same questions. Even though we got the resumes and could have been more specific about it, but according to the rules, that's what we had to do. We had to allow a certain amount of time. I will say that the 2 candidates here did a brilliant job of filling the 3 minutes completely. Whereas one of the other candidates would stop a minute and a half in. We have to allow for 3 minutes, and I made that clear. So we would sit in silence for a minute and a half. Because of the rules, we wanted to make sure that we could not be, I guess, really what you do is make sure you're not going to be accused that you didn't allow the same amount of time for each candidate. Today is going to be a little bit different. We are allowing for 4 minutes for each question, but they do not have to use all 4 minutes. I would love it if you did. I'm trying to do, so we got a little timer up here. That's why the invisible chair is right here. So probably gonna have to have somebody help me with the timer. But that's how we're going to conduct this. We have a series, I believe, of 6 questions. Just so you all know, we try to create questions based on the following categories: growth mindset, leadership, discipline, role/vision, decision-making, and effective systems. So each of these questions are going to address those topics. We're trying to allow you to be as informed as possible, but we've been working on this for some time, so we can't get you completely up to speed where we are as an LSC, but we did want you to get a feel for where some information on each candidate. Having said that, I would love to open the floor and allow you to ask questions, but you will not. Because you can't. We have to ask the same questions of each candidate. That's part of the deal. So I'm sorry for the limitations on this state laws. Anything else? Are there any questions for me? Great.
The only thing is an opportunity after we're done that we're asking the candidates if they want to stick around and answer questions that are not under our watch. They're welcome to do that.
Excellent. We're going to get up on stage. Katie, did flip a coin. Katie's going in first. So Heather, we can ask you to go back to the parent room. I believe another Kate volunteered to bring it in. Hey, you. You're on.
Yeah, we're going to sit.
With the whole consistency
We discussed.
I would feel like that was my preference. Okay, we begin. Wait, I need a.
Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, this is actually not as intense as I thought it was going to be. And I welcome all of you to this afternoon. It feels really good to be here, and it feels really, really good to look out in the crowd and just see so many stakeholders who are committed to this community. So thank you. Thank you for coming and showing up.
Okay,
I start it when you start your question.
sure.
After.
Okay, fine. One vote. Describe a leadership challenge you've experienced during the last 6 months. How did you work through it, and what did you learn?
I got a phone call on August 22nd from Miss Miller, the former principal here at Mitchell, and she shared with me that she was offered a promotion in the district, and that she had been asked who her successor was going to be, and she said, I have somebody in mind, and I think that you would be a great fit for our community. And it was August 22nd, and school was starting on September 4th. And I jumped at the opportunity after lots of thought and consideration with my family and my team at Ravenswood, and decided to go for it. And so I think, when I think back to over the last 7 months, there's been a number of challenges that school leaders face, whether you're interim principal or not. It's the nature of the work. It's complex. It's human work. And I think one of the biggest challenges was starting off the school year so quickly and trying to learn the systems that have been in place while leading those systems. And I believe that because of the quickness and swiftness of the handoff, created, intense, confusion for stakeholders at times when I bet it was frustrating. And I see some faces out there saying, yeah, that was challenging. And I think for me that was really hard because I believe in tight systems and strong communication. And I think I'm very good at it as a leader. And I think coming in with such a short amount of time to get to know the staff and to get to see their strengths, to really, really build off that and hit the ground running on September 4th was tough. I was blessed to walk into a school though with such committed teachers and just such strong pedagogy and curriculum already in place. So a lot of the systems and structures that were put into place, it was everybody jumped to it and just started to click on like as if they were teaching me along the way. I think that I attribute a lot of that handoff work to communication that I had with Ms. Milburn throughout the last 7 months, and as well with my partnership with Ms. Walsh. But I think that that's a challenge that I hope we've been able to get past. And if awarded this contract, I feel like I've built strong relationships with parents and with students and really with teachers so that we can build off those systems and really do the work that will take Mitchell to the next level.
Yep, a little help on resetting that. It's nice and quiet. Okay. Next question. How would others with whom you have led describe your leadership style? What would your biggest supporter say? What would your biggest detractor say?
I am going to start with my biggest detractors. I think that my leadership style has evolved over the years. I've had a number of positions in the last 16 years. I've been an educator in Chicago Public Schools. I've been an instructional coach. I've also been a deputy chief for a network and a deputy for a cabinet member at central office in the Office of Diverse Learners. And so working in these different levels across CPS, my leadership style has changed and evolved. I think an experience I had working under a leader at Jenner really taught me about the difference between being, on the ground behind the scenes administrator and a big picture figure that can have a vision to take a school to the next level. And that really, I moved that work from Robert Cross. And what I learned from him is that really strong leaders really can have a vision, but it's about building a team to buy into that vision and also giving them the skills and the tools that they need to do their best work. So that means getting teachers the resources that they need. If that's time, finding them time. If that's additional professional development that's tied to their need that may not be what everybody needs, then that's what needs to happen. And so I just think that this idea of leadership is a journey and it continues to evolve. And I would say that I started out saying that I was going to talk about the tractors, didn't I? And then I went on into a tangent. So I'm going to go back to that. I think being a big picture thinker and having vision, being a visionary leader can be frustrating for folks sometimes when you don't delegate the detail stuff. So I think that's something that maybe a detractor might say can be irritating. But I do believe that I'm a collaborator, I'm a strong communicator. I value teachers. Teachers have the most important role in a school building, so it is my job to support them and coach them and push them to be the best versions of themselves so that they can show up to support some pretty complex needs that present themselves with our students. And so I'm a listener. I think that's the really strong quality that I have as a leader. And sometimes that can be frustrating because folks want things to get done quickly. But I think taking the time to listen, to understand what it is that people are looking for, can be a great value.
4 minutes can be a really long time for anyone who's done this before, so I appreciate that too. Okay. Water break or your statements up. You have both shared interest in implementing restorative justice at Mitchell. Share a specific example of a time you have had success in the restorative justice process. What was the student's role, the teacher's role, and the principal's role?
I think that I spoke a little bit about this throughout the interview process, but coming into a school as an interim principal, you really don't want to make a lot of changes quickly. And something that I've tried really hard to tread lightly around is messing up a system like discipline, and then not being able to commit to being fair to see it through with the uncertainty of being a term. And so something that I've tried to do since I've arrived at Mitchell is to, in restorative or responsive conversations with students about behavior, really model that aspect of listening to identify what the root cause is in the challenge that the student is having. And also recognize that if a teacher is feeling frustrated with a student, that they need to be tagged out. I just talked to a teacher today about that. If you're frustrated right now, and I get that, that's human. This is very intense work, and the child is presenting some very, challenging behaviors. Let me tag you out, and you can take a break so that you can come back to this with a clear head. And so I believe that at the heart of any discipline philosophy that I have, it's about listening and trying to identify the root cause of the conflict or the need that's coming, that's presenting in a child that's having them make a decision to be bad or to do something that's out of our code of conduct. And so there's a lot of examples of those. I can share. I also feel comfortable sharing these specific examples about students in this context, but I can say that an example is if a child uses a word that is inappropriate, and this has happened on a number of occasions. Instead of just reprimanding that child and giving them a detention and telling them, this is a word you cannot use in school and it's disrespectful. Let's do some reading about what is behind the meaning of that word, so that you understand that it's not appropriate and that it's hurtful and it's unkind. And so there's been a few examples of those, where we're trying to identify logical consequences that are instructive for students rather than just punitive. And we have some great systems here at Mitchell that help us with that. And I think we've got some room to really dig into those systems with our culture and climate team to identify what can we tweak from our pink slips to really make that aspect of reflection and understanding where that mistake was made. How can we build that out so that it's a little bit more restorative, a little bit more responsive? And a lot comes at teachers every day, especially when you're seeing 150 students in the middle school, or 400 students if you're an essentials teacher. So it's my job to work with a team of teachers on the climate and culture team, or anybody else who's interested in getting into this work, to say what can we do to front load some of this for kids at the beginning of the year, and really help kids understand our expectations around behavior. So I think there's a few things that we can do. We can really treat our response to behavior incidents with our pink slips. I think we can do some training as a staff together. Goodness gracious, around responsive classroom and restorative practices, and really learn about it together and come up with what it looks like for Mitchell as a team.
It's okay, I'll extend it more for you. If my children ever use that language, it's probably my fault. And you can just say, listen, man, every dad talks like that. Okay. We are now into role vision. Imagine you become principal of Mitchell Elementary. Describe what success in this role looks like to you after 1 year and after 5 years.
So after 1 year, I'm still here. I'm still pushing along and still loving every single day like I have over the last 7 months. I think that's success. I've come to work every day since I've joined this community, feeling joy. And I think that my job as a leader is to create that joy for every single person in the school, whatever role you have. And so my vision after a year is to create a really, really happy, joyful space where kids are learning, teachers are learning, parents are engaged, parents are working with one another, to really, be strategic about improving different aspects of the school. But I think that teachers come here every day wanting to be here and are also in alignment and belief in our vision for the school. So after a year, I would hope that we as a team have worked together over the summer and into the fall to really develop some Mitchell systems now that they know that I really think they're going to be here for 4 years or more. And I think having just that stability will allow us as a team to dig in and to tweak some things and to get a running start for the start of next year. And so that's kind of where I'm at with where I hope to be at the end of next year. I think some of those systems that we'll see improvement around is our supports for our students who are ELs. More supports for teachers on how to incorporate language proficiency standards, like the LEDA standards, into their daily lessons, more opportunities for kids to talk about content. A lot of that is already happening, but I want to highlight that so that others where that work is new for them, they have some places to go and learn from. I think in special education, I would like to see, just again, some more support for teachers on how to write, really strong behavior plans, really solid IEPs, and really partnering with parents and students to be self-advocates at the IEP table. And so those are two aspects where I hope to see some improvements. Discipline, really working with the climate and culture team, like I spoke about in the last question, to refine and tweak some of our discipline procedures, and then also really work with teachers to help them identify what is their plan for development, what is, I keep looking at him, but I need to move on, so that we can align our resources to support them, as professionals. I think so often we have this idea that PE has to be one size fits all, and I really do, have a lot of experience in instructional coaching, and I hope to use that and leverage that to help teachers, get back into why they got into teaching, and help them shine a light in their own development a bit. And we have a teacher leaving for New York in June to go to an institute at Teachers College, and I'm ecstatic because we are a K-8 Lucy Calkins units of study school. That is like a dream for me. I've been trained at Teachers College. We have a few other teachers who haven't, and I would love to get Teachers College out to Chicago to do an institute for all of our teachers. Some other areas where I would hope to see some, I really talked about the 1 year, I think we can get to the 5 year. We just have to, see what happens. I'll say two things about the 5 year. An annex with a STEAM lab, and I would love to see some additional sensory supports for students.
It works. It's the reason you keep looking this way is the years. They're magnetic. There's no resistance. Just kidding. Okay, so next question. A local foundation gives you $100,000 unrestricted grant for 1 year. We have a lot of ideas how this grant might help address teacher burnout. There are a few facility improvements you are anxious to get done, and you also would like to add a math coach to your staff next year. How would you determine the right way to spend the money? What process would you use to make your decision?
It's such a hard question because I'm just dreaming about that as a possibility, and I just don't know if it's going to happen. But if that did happen, I would immediately bring that back to our team, and we would look at our vision and that we had co-created together and say, what should we prioritize for this money? And some of the things that you mentioned could come to mind. We have an incredible amount of art and arts integration happening across our school, and we have some improvements infrastructurally to support the arts. Some sound enhancements is one that comes to my mind, some baffling so that when we have performances, we can hear the students who are performing. I think also when I think about teacher burnout, and you mentioned in the question, teachers do not have enough time to dig into their curriculum and their own professional development plans and the needs of their students. So I would like to take some of that money to, as a resource to give back to teachers for, professional development or time to plan, time to collaborate. And so that's, I've always held a summer institute for teachers at schools I've worked with in the past, and that's something that I would budget out of that money and hope to do anyway, if we don't get the $100,000, because I think that teachers need time in the summer that they're paid to work together and collaborate, because this work is really hard, it's really complex. $100,000, I can make that go very far. So some other things that come to mind, I think I would, before bringing on another staff member, I would like to double down and invest in the staff members that we have.
Okay, we are down to our last question. A little brief water break is well deserved. Okay. How do you know when an initiative or a process is not working? What do you think are the most effective next steps?
So I think that I'd like to try to make decisions that are evidence-based always. And I think that evidence can come in many ways, but feedback from stakeholders is, to me, the best form of evidence. So, and I've gotten a lot of that over the last 7 months, and I appreciate that. And I speak to the teachers about this often. If something isn't working, I may have blinders on. It might not be on my radar at that moment. Please let me know. And so I really have been encouraging, an open door policy. I know that's a phrase in leadership that gets thrown around a lot, but I really do mean it when I say if something's not working for you, please come to me so that we can talk through it, so that I can have a better understanding of what it is that's getting in the way. And so when we talk about systems, schools operate on a number of complex systems. And feedback on those systems needs to happen regularly. And so, feedback can be in the form of people just coming and talking to you about it. It can be in the form of surveys. It can be in the form of observing a system in practice and you taking the time out of your day and say, I'm going to go watch the lunch flow and see how that goes, so that then I can see, okay, what's working, what's not working. And I think that having now had 7 months to really observe the systems here, I am now positioned to say, okay, here's some places where we can make some tweaks and adjustments. And now that I've built some relationships, I can take a step back and say, okay, what are some things that we need to bolster up, and what are some things maybe we need to shed, and so that we can reprioritize our work, which is really about teaching and learning.
Excellent. This is fun. I'm not the one getting tired of doing those things. So, and actually, I would like to add one more question to this, just because you helped me in the beginning by asking me, can I introduce myself? It was an excellent idea. That wasn't quite on the agenda. That should have been. And this should be too, which is simply, is there anything else you'd like to say as a closing comment?
Thank you. I do want to just end with a note of gratitude. It has been an incredible experience coming in and working with this community. I really do thank Ms. Milberg for her recognition of some strengths that I have as a leader and recommending me to come in as interim. It was a difficult decision to decide to jump into an interim position. But I listened to my heart, and I had a lot of support from friends and colleagues. And whatever happens, I will not regret a day that I've had at Mitchell. You have touched my heart, and I once a bobcat, always a bobcat. I think Willie Soria told me that, and I think that rings true. So this is an incredible community. This LSC has done a beautiful job with this process, and it's been a pleasure to serve.
Not all at once, but if somebody could, yeah. Thank you. This is where we play music and entertain you. It's not gonna happen. Be careful of your steps. And a microphone. Yes. I get sassy with this microphone, so we have to figure out this experience. So, I'll let you please take a minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll jump into the questions.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Heather Connolly. I've been with the board from 1997 until recently. I left one time to go back to my home state of Iowa for a couple of years. In the district, I've held a ton of different positions, from a classroom teacher, primary, intermediate, and upper, primarily in 8th grade. And then I also worked as a literacy coach. I supervised literacy coaches at the Office of Literacy for a couple of years and had 41 schools where I was supervising literacy instruction on the north side. From there, I was principal at Ravenswood for 5 years, from 2008 to 2013. In 2013, I went back to my home state of Iowa, where I was supervising schools. So I was similar to what a chief does here. I had 19 buildings, and I supervised all the administrators and professional development. And I was there for a couple of years and really realized that Chicago was home. And as much as I was brought up in the state of Iowa, I'm realizing that my entire adult life was here in Chicago. And I desperately missed it. And our family decided to come back to the system and come back to CPS. For the past 4 years, I have been working as an assistant principal at Berry with the person who was my assistant principal at Ravenswood. He's now the principal at Berry, and we worked so well together that when I came back, I wanted to be in a place where I could cultivate my kids and come back and get them back engaged in the culture of Chicago and work with somebody that I really trust and believe in. So I've been at Berry for the last 4 years, and I'm super excited about the potential opportunity here at Mitchell.
Well, you just answered all 6 questions. Just trying to keep it relaxed. Okay. I'll just dive in. Describe a leadership challenge you've experienced in the last 6 months. How did you work through it, and what did you learn?
Well, I think that one of the leadership pieces that we often deal with is students who are struggling. And at our school, I come from a school that the predominant language is Spanish. Most of our students are learning a second language, English mostly. And one of the things that we've noticed is that we have students who are really falling behind in terms of the language acquisition and in terms of feeling comfortable in their school. We are a dual language program, and we've been phasing in dual language 1 grade at a time. But what we realized about 6 months ago, actually, was that our students, when they got up to 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, where they start to do more half and half of English versus Spanish, is that our students were having a tremendous difficulty decoding in English. And we really didn't understand for a while why that would be, because you have to decode in Spanish when you're learning syllables. Why wouldn't that be the same in English? And what we realized was that our students were coming from a more limited set of experiences than what students who might be learning another language and come from a middle income background. And what we realized we needed to do was we needed to provide them an opportunity with some structured ESL curriculum. Before, teachers were kind of doing what they wanted to do, doing what they knew what to do, as best as they could with materials from everywhere when it came to ESL instruction. And what we decided to do was purchase an ESL curriculum that allows kids to have a structured way of learning English, just like they have a structured way of learning Spanish. And within that process, we also gave them additional intervention time in our MTSS structures. So they got an extra dose of learning English during the day, along with a structured ESL block. And at first, parents were really concerned about the fact that their kids are predominantly Spanish speaking, but they were going to be having an extra dose of English. What we realize now in the second semester is the gains that our kids not only are making in their decoding in English, but also their decoding in Spanish, because they have a consistent way of looking at it. The program that we chose is Foundations, and for any of you educators out there, it goes with the program of Wilson, and Wilson is a multisensory approach to teaching kids how to decode and how to read. And it was with that training and with that we realized that structured ESL block for them is making a difference. And our students who were at Tier 3, at the beginning of this year, we had 150 kids in primary at Tier 3, and we now have about 20%, about less than 100 kids that are now at Tier 3. And largely at primary, we're looking at phonemic awareness and phonics. And when we talk to parents, when we talk to the teachers, and we talk to students, they're equally that much more comfortable and confident with themselves because they feel that they have a sense of confidence. And so one of those things, the leadership thing, is always what things are going to work. How do you make sure that you give the teachers and the staff and the students what they need? And how are you going to follow up to make sure that it's working? And so along with all of these leadership decisions, we put a team together and we go back through and do the tedious task of monitoring that progress monitoring data. We're making sure that the kids are understanding and we're seeing the growth happen. We're graphing and we're understanding that they are making progress. But all that was a very conscious way of looking at leadership and making sure that we had the ability to know what our students needed.
Okay.
I was wondering how loud that was.
I know. You'll be well aware of what goes on. How would others with whom you have led describe your leadership style? What would your biggest supporters say? What would your biggest detractors say?
Well, I think as a leader, if you have 100% of the people behind you 100% of the time, you're probably walking a middle line and you're probably not doing everything you need to do as a leader. With that being said, I think that if you were to take a straw poll on people that I've led, I would say that they would say that probably one of the things that I do is I look at people's perspectives. As an educator myself, as a parent myself, as a parent who has a student who has an IEP and special needs, it's something that I have gained perspective on hearing other people's perspectives. So my leadership is one where I value voice and perspective, where if I have a decision to make, I don't make that unilaterally. I very much look for other people's perspectives, not necessarily people who are always going to agree with me either. Sometimes the best decision making that I've done is based upon somebody who disagreed with me and was able to provide me with a new way of looking at things. So I think that in the spirit of looking at people's input and voices being valued, I also think that you've got to have collaboration. When I came into Ravenswood, when I started there, the school was divided. The principal before me did not have his contract renewed, and the school community was torn apart. What that school community needed was somebody to come in and establish trust, to build relationships, and to build a sense of community within the school. So instead of starting with instruction, I knew that I had to start with building a community, making this broken community whole. And so before putting together any programs of improvement, we worked on establishing trust, letting me know what is the current reality, asking staff members, community members, parents, What is it that parents, students, and teachers are looking to do in a different way than what we've done? What is already working and doesn't need to be touched? What are the things that we value that we aren't seeing within a school community, and how can we make those things better? So for me, I'm always looking for other people's perspectives, and as a leader, I believe you have to do a lot more listening than what you do speaking, because you also have to bring a school community together to build consensus. If you can't do that, then you're always going to have people who are not trusting. So one of the things that I would say people feel about my leadership is that there's an open door where people feel that what they're saying is being valued. And they can't just be heard. As a leader, you also have to use what you're hearing, and you have to take those perspectives and be able to put them in play so that people feel like they are seeing that you're valuing what they say, and that you are taking into account what other people are saying and believing. So I think that it's equally important to show with actions that you're not just having an open door policy, but you are hearing them because what you're doing is mattering with what they're saying. Also equally, you have to have somebody who has a set vision. And there will be sometimes things that you cannot do based on somebody's perspective. So you really have to have a clear set of core beliefs and values that you are bound by, which I believe I have. In terms of something that my critics might say, I think one thing that I definitely get bogged down by is spending so much time making sure that everything is put in place, that we have things going on, that sometimes I forget to take some time for myself to recoup. I was often at my building quite a bit of time as a principal, and oftentimes the people who were neglected were my family. So one of the things that I've done such a better job of since leaving the principalship and know to do the next time is to make sure that I do a better balance of balancing my time at school versus making sure I take care of the needs of my family at home.
That's why we don't call them critics, and you would call them detractors. You have both candidates, shared interest in implementing restorative justice at Mitchell. Share a specific example of a time you have had success in the restorative justice process. What was the student's role, the teacher's role, and the principal's role?
Well, one of the things that makes the principalship unique is that students are not all coming with the same needs, and they have very differing sense of places where they come from, values and beliefs. So I think that one of the examples that I would give is a fairly recent example. One of our students that we have at Berry, he is a student who's really struggling with behavior. He's a student who is very bright. He's a student who has so much potential, but he's also a student who doesn't know how to self-regulate. And so one of the things that we've been working on in terms of restorative justice is also the sense of helping students to identify strategies that will help them self-regulate. When we take a look at restorative justice, teaching skills in conflict resolution is one portion of it, but we also have to teach kids to self-regulate. And so one of the things that we've actively been taking on with this student, as well as others, is looking at ways that in the classroom, if students are having a difficult time, not only can they talk about it, and not only are we giving them strategies to learn how to calm down in class, they have the cool-off spot, they have the ability to talk in a class meeting, they have the structures that you would normally see in a restorative justice conversation in terms of symposium-like opportunities. We also have a split counselor case manager, so the counselor can actually do counseling with students in small group and one-on-one. But what the other thing we are doing in terms of the principal role, is the administrator role, is we're really taking a look and identifying those students through our MTSS process. We meet every 5 weeks with our behavioral health team. And for this particular student, we've identified the fact that he needs time to move. He needs time, he needs breaks. So one of the recent things that we've done in our school is we've purchased, and I don't know if some of you've seen them online, but you can purchase opportunities for kids to have almost like a maze in the hallways. And it gives kids who are fidgety and who have out of control body movements the ability to kind of get some of that fidgety behavior out, moving from place to place to place in the school. And I can't tell you already, after having these things in place for just a few weeks, how wonderful it's been for the student. We also put adults, we have a 3x3 method, and so we want 3 adults to catch 3 students who are in our highest, most at-risk situation, and that's another thing that the student's engaging in. And already we're seeing such a great benefit from his role. The other thing we teach kids is how to use their words and how to use their voice. Part of restorative conversations is understanding how to use conflict resolution skills, but also how to advocate effectively for what they need. And you have to teach those things. So at our school, you'll see things like a wheel of choice for our primary students, where we teach them the language that they need to use when they're going through conflicts. And this is a student opportunity for learning. They take their wheel, and the fact that we see little primary kids who are taking the wheel and choosing something on the wheel, and they say something like, so-and-so, it bugs me when you do that. I wish you would stop. And they're naming what it is that they need to work on. Now, in terms of that, is that 100% effective? No, but no student is 100% effective 100% of the time. And so teaching the kids the language is something else that is important to do. In terms of the parent role, getting the parents on board. So the student that I was talking about, we have regular meetings with his parents. His parents are coming and meeting with us to let us know what interventions are working. And just like an MTSS process, their restorative conversations happen on a regular basis right away.
So had there been a maze and a wheel in my school, I would have probably been a lot better. It's interesting. Imagine you become the principal of Mitchell Elementary. Describe what success with this role looks like to you after 1 year and after 5 years.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, I should do that, Aaron. I'm trying to. Imagine becoming principal of Mitchell. Describe what success in this role looks like to you after 1 year and after 5 years.
Well, one thing I know about this school is that there's already a ton of great things already happening. And so year one, I think that what I would expect to see would be me getting a chance and to know the school community, understanding the current reality of the school, so you know what the strengths are of the building, what the challenges are, and really be able to begin to establish a working plan with the community at the play. I think that one of the things that I would say in year one would be to do a lot of listening and getting a chance to understand what people's perspectives are and understanding what they see for the building. I think it's very premature for any leader to come in and automatically make changes. As I talked about in my previous example, when I was principal at Ravenswood, I spent 2 years on building relationships and putting the community back together before I really did instruction. And instruction was my forte. I have a master's in curriculum, I supervised literacy student people, that was my forte. But I knew that I couldn't just come in and do that because I needed to build trust. I needed to make sure that the school community was functioning together. And so spending the first year on doing that, I think is very much a benefit for any school to be able to work on as a principal. I would not want to make changes to sacred cows in the building in terms of things that people are saying don't touch, but you don't know that right away. So I think it takes time to get a chance to know what those things are before you impact change. Year one, I see also spending a lot of time with all of the various stakeholder groups, getting a chance to know the community and what it's needing, spending time with partnerships, spending time with political figures so we can talk through and get a plan together for what it is we want to see. I also think that making sure that you are reaching out to your community and making the school a true community center is something that I would see year one, establishing a plan. But the long-term plan then, in my vision, I would want to make sure that Mitchell was a school and a community that is the hub of the community. The heart and soul of the community is the school. And so when you are part of that, you offer things to the community. When I was at Ravenswood, we did the very same thing, and at Barry, we're doing the very same thing. We have a lot of partnerships, and our school is used in a multitude of different ways that we're not only educating students, but we're also providing services to the community to make the community better. So some of those examples that I've worked on in terms of the plan would be having food pantries come in for the families who need it, providing social services for families who need that, making the communities building available for after-school community groups or adults who are looking for opportunities, having ESL classes and Spanish classes or Chinese classes for the community to be able to use the school as an asset. In year 5, I would want to see Mitchell as one of the leading urban models of education. I've already taken a look at your school dynamics and your school information. And I already know that there's a ton to work with. I knew Luis, he and I worked together with the Office of Literacy, so we used to have a lot of conversations as new principals about the schools. And what I know is that you guys have a lot of things going on already in curriculum, and the community is already strong. So what I would want to do is not try and build it down, but rather to enhance it. The first step is to knowing what the current reality is, so you can make plans, and then monitor those with people who are helping you think through what those next steps should be. All in all, I see this school as someplace that's full of inclusiveness for students, where students have voice and choice, where the adults are being valued for their perspective, and the school is seen as an extension of the home.
This is fun. So there's a situational question for you. A local foundation gives you $100,000 unrestricted grant for 1 year. You have a lot of ideas how this grant might help address teacher burnout. There are new facility improvements you are anxious to get done. And you also would like to add a math coach to your staff next year. How would you determine the right way to spend the money? What process would you use to make your decision?
This happens actually all the time. As a principal, I feel like every year that you have a budget, you have to make these decisions. And for me, what it boils down to is core beliefs and values, and what is the best needs of the school. So I think that you have to always be supportive of what the mission and vision is for the school. And I know for here, you guys have a world language program. You are looking at a vast garden and wanting to expand green space. You're taking a look at becoming potentially, from what I gather, is potentially expanding and making the school bigger than what it already is. So I think the first way that as a new person coming in, and probably Katie would have a different perspective because she's been here. She's already gotten to do that groundwork of learning. So her answer is probably going to be further along than mine would be. But if I was coming in new, I would want to hit the ground understanding what those priorities and the things that the school community values. I would want to know what it was that are the most important things. And then when you take a look at those, you can start to see patterns after you begin to talk to people. I think that you have to talk to a lot of people to get those patterns, but then you also have to have a structured sense of where you want to go. And that's done with a team of people who are stakeholders within the school building who have the best interests of the students in mind. With that, then, you have to determine what is the best long-term piece for this. So in the question of the math coach, if this is a one-time grant, what's going to happen after year 1? Do you have to let that person go? So that's one of the considerations whenever you have money coming in, is what's the long-term benefit? It sounds great to begin with, but then what happens after that year is gone? As somebody who had to supervise literacy coaches and saw literacy coaches getting cut year after year after year, I know the reality of that would look like. In terms of a math curriculum, will $100,000 be enough? And what about the consumables that happen year after year after year? Is there a budget? Is there a way? Is there something to think about with consumables or manipulatives that are going to have to keep going? Or what does the training look like? I know you all use Engage New York. We at my building use Engage New York, and that is not an easy curriculum to teach. So you also have to make sure that teachers understand what that training is and how to finagle something that is much more difficult than a standard curriculum that you teach the lesson out of the book. So that's another piece. In terms of, what was the other one?
Let's see. Math
Math
coach, facility improvements, teacher burnout.
Facility improvements. You have to make sure that you have enough money to match that. For me, I had over $1 million that was put into Ravenswood, and there was a gigantic difference, but I didn't even get to see it happen. I got the grant in 2011, and it finally came to full fruition in 2016. So So there's a big planning process with capital improvements that I have painstakingly gone through, and I actually never got to see the rewards of that improvement. So that's another piece to what you look at. And teacher burnout. The best thing that I ever did for a staff when I came in is to forget professional development the first 5 days at that time, teachers. Now we only have 3. The first 5 days is to hire somebody to come in and do teacher team building exercises, having them come back on a basis the next 2 years to make sure that teachers were feeling that the morale was there, feeling that they can work together, feeling a sense of trust. And for me, that was the best money that I ever spent. I saw more return down the road. And I'm sure if Katie's here, she's from Ravenswood, I was the one who brought that to Ravenswood. I can tell you, and she probably can tell you too, that community is still thriving because of those sorts of things.
One more question. And the 2 people that left are not parents or teachers. I don't want you to think you were got right in the middle.
People have places to go.
Yeah, all right. Just so you know. Okay. Last question. How do you know when an initiative or a process is not working? What do you think are the most effective next steps?
Well, I think that one of the biggest problems that we have in education as a whole is we're really great about starting things up and we have all these great, bright ideas. But then what do we do to monitor those and to check in to make sure that what we originally thought was what was being needed or was the right thing to do? So I think that one of the things that a community and a school has to do is you have to have a plan that everyone is aware of, that everyone contributes to, that everyone is a part of building consensus on, and then you have to monitor that. You have to have action steps with dates and with metrics that you're going to do. One way that Chicago tries to accomplish this is through the CIWP. And if you ask teachers at most schools what a CIWP is, the Continuous Improvement School Work Plan, they wouldn't have a clue what's on that CIWP because it's something that's done in an isolated silo. So what the plan is supposed to do is it's supposed to bring together the school community. It's supposed to be a living, breathing document where the LSC and the school community members and the teachers continuously go through it and see where they are on that plan. Have priorities changed? Have things that we put down, are they working? Are they not working? Are there things that we need to add to this that we didn't think about? And all of those things, when you make the CIWP process a living, breathing document, those are the sorts of things that happen that you can assess on a regular basis. At my LSC, bi-monthly. We used to have the LSC CIWP, at the time it was SIPA, review. And we would take out portions of our SIPA, and our school leadership team would come and report, where are we on that? And it would give us a really good opportunity to take a regular look at where we were as a school and have an ability to make changes to that. The best thing that I feel can happen in terms of metric building is that we have as a group of people who are willing to put in the time to build consensus to put metrics in place. What are we expecting? How long this is going to take? And when we get to that time frame, you actually take a look at it and assess it. Is this math curriculum working for us? We're going to implement it, but when do you check to see how teachers are feeling? When are you checking to see if it's meeting all the criteria in terms of the standards? What type of supplementals are being done? And oftentimes there are so many start and stops with initiatives that without a plan to go back and look at them, you can run ragged. And that's why in education, so many people get frustrated with this continuous swinging pendulum of things starting and stopping, but never get fulfilled to the end. And that is something that I pride myself on trying to make sure doesn't happen. You've got to have stop points where you can go back and check yourself. Even when I was meeting with the LSC, one of the things I provided to them, I wasn't asked for it, but I provided to them, was a 1-year plan of coming into the building where I had commitments and action steps and time frames for doing various things so that I wasn't making, so I could make sure and remind myself and hold myself accountable for what I said I was going to do. And I think anytime you have a plan, those are the types of steps that you need to do to make sure that your plan is not getting away from you and that you are double checking what that plan looks like. But it starts to begin with a community of people coming together and having consensus upon what those priorities need to be and how we're going to go about them together, building it with one another, not me separately.
Oh, that was good. I have one more question for you. We didn't use the timer for it, so which is going to be whatever closing comments you'd like to make. But if everyone in the back, as she's done, if someone can get Katie so we do our closing comments and allow them to chat with. She's on. Okay. Any closing comments?
Well, I just want to take the time to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to have you get to know me. I realize that I'm a little bit at a disadvantage because Katie has had a whole year to get to know you and to understand the community already. We didn't actually ever meet before tonight, by the way. I knew she worked at Ravenswood and she knew that I was principal there, but we haven't met until tonight. But I know that this building has so much potential, and it actually is doing great things already. And when you think of a building that you want to go to, you have certain criteria that you hold dear. And one of the reasons why I was so excited about the opportunity of applying here is because those core beliefs and values that I talked about are the same sorts of things that are happening already here. So to be able to have a school community that already values those and believes those and that you don't have to build that in is half the battle. So being able to go forward and make something fantastic happen based upon a school community that already has consensus around those beliefs and values is super exciting. I feel that I have the background and skills and experience to go through a lot of these issues that you've asked me about tonight. I'm guessing that those are some of the issues that you're facing as a school. I've been there and I believe that I've been fairly successful. In my previous role as a principal, in my current role as an assistant principal, I feel like wherever you are, you have to be a leader and a follower. And I've learned to be able to be both of those, and at the same time, having a vision and a set of core beliefs and values that drive the work that I do, so that my hope would be that anyone who asks about whether I would agree or disagree about something, they could look at the person in the eye and say, Mrs. Connolly would not agree with that because, or Mrs. Connolly would agree with that because. If somebody can do that and allow me to have that consistency with my beliefs and values, and they understand what those are, I believe that that would be the greatest success that I could have as a leader. I look forward to potentially the opportunity of working with you all. I know this is a big task, and I realize that you have a lot of work to be doing. So I appreciate you coming out. I would love to be able to join your school community to help it build to the next level. And I appreciate your time for coming out.
Were you outside the door the whole time? I mean, that was really fast. As you can see, we're extremely fortunate to have such strong interest in Mitchell and especially two incredible people who are interested in being our principal. We're very fortunate for that, and I want to thank you all for putting up with my half-witted humor. Just trying to keep us chill through the process. So, can we have a round of applause for both candidates, please? Excellent, thank you. I will give up the mic, and by all means, if you could, we'll both step down from the stage and chit chat. And I don't know, we'll try and grab some of these chairs in the meantime, quietly. Thank you.